Hi, everybody, and welcome to a delayed, yet again, episode of Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things. We are finally wrapping up the third season of Legend of Vox Machina, episodes 10, 11, and 12. Then we can finally turn our attention to Andor Season 2, which I'm very, very excited about. Sam, hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. So I've been looking at reviews of Andor Season 2.
You haven't spoiled it, have you?
I have not spoiled anything. And when I say reviews, I mean Rotten Tomato scores. It's in like the 96 percentile of Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm very excited. Not only am I excited to wrap up this conversation on Legend of Vox Machina, because I feel like we've been on this for 4 months.
It did. When Haley and I finished watching it earlier this week, she's like, "Man, it's crazy that we've been watching this since October." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I got a podcast that speaks to that."
Yeah, I mean, in the last couple episodes, we've kind of revealed that we had a lot going on, and then on top of that, we have made the move, so we are officially full time in the new house that we bought in the great state of Washington. But yeah, you've had some stuff as well.
Yeah, work stuff, family stuff, travel, illness, but we are here. We are here to talk about these final 3 episodes, the conclusion of season 3, and hopefully we can maintain some sort of semblance of regularity over the course of the summer. I think we should definitely prioritize Andor. Just my TV watching availability has cleared up recently because we finished Love on the Spectrum season 3, I think it was, and we only have the final episode of the Great British Baking Show to watch, and then I'll be fully able to focus on Andor.
And do whatever. Carly and I are currently rewatching season 1 of Last of Us to prepare for.
Oh, right. When is that premiere?
2. Oh, they're on episode 3.
Oh my God. Okay.
Of season 2, yeah.
Well,
and we haven't even covered season 1 on this podcast.
We didn't?
Well, we never talked about The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, I thought we said not because neither of us had played the video game, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's good enough for us because we don't have that comparison.
Yeah,
I know the plot of the video game, but I can't speak to the gameplay and I can't even think of the word. Oh my gosh, I'm having a senior moment.
And I thought I was having a senior moment earlier.
Intricacies.
There you go.
Oh God, man, what a hell of a day! And that was the hardest word for me to ever pronounce. While also having the pressure of doing it into a microphone where tens of people are going to hear me struggle with that.
Tens? Hopefully it's tens. We'll see. Yeah.
After 4 months of like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But let's get into it, Sam.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So we're starting with episode 10, titled To the Ends of the World. After Raishan disappears with Thordak's corpse, Vox Machina is left shocked by her betrayal, including Keyleth, who decides to go off on her own. While Scanlan recovers, Vex decides to go after Ripley in order to avenge Percy, with Vax agreeing to accompany her. Pike finds Kaylee and convinces her to come see her father after showing her a song that he wrote for her. Keyleth reunites with her father Corran, who reveals to her an ancient ritual that can help locate people over vast distances. Corran is reluctant to allow Keyleth to go through with the ritual because it is dangerous and that it cannot be performed without the council's permission. Regardless, Keyleth tells her father to call a meeting. Once the council members arrive, Keyleth states her claim that she can perform the ritual successfully without fail, but the council's leader, Uvenda, denies her request, believing that she is not ready because she has not completed all of her trials and that it could kill her. After a moment of thought, Keyleth returns and proclaims her desire to perform the ritual, and the Earth Ashari's leader, Patisse, agrees to help her along with the rest of the council members, much to the chagrin of Uvenda. Patisse, Keyleth, and Corran begin the ritual, but the latter begins to struggle with maintaining the connection. Meanwhile, Vex and Vax arrive at Stillben in search of a way to find Ripley. They find a human-animal hybrid named Katari, who has a pepper box, and follow him to retrieve it. Katari incapacitates Vax for a moment, but he soon recognizes him as a member of the Clasp. He takes the twins to the dock where a ship is to arrive soon at night to restock on weapons, and then leaves them on their own. Not wanting to become involved in their agenda, the ship soon arrives to restock, and Vex attempts to sneak past the crew, but fails, forcing the twins to fight their way through. However, the ship manages to escape. Vex and Vax manage to chase it down and get on board, only to be ambushed and captured by Ripley.
A couple things on this one. The first one is, I have a question if this ritual or whatever it is this taking the place of her Earth trial? of her aramente
I
because
didn't.
it gives me that vibe.
Yeah, and I think in the later episode, I think I had a similar idea or a similar thought in maybe the next episode when it's, spoiler alert, she's successful. Because it seems very, on par with a big trial of ability and strength and whatever else. I
And the
should,
fact that she can just shapeshift into this earth
yeah,
elemental
yeah.
now.
That was the thing that kind of gave me, I was like, oh, that, yeah, she now has this new ability. And I think that's like traditionally the reward for completing one of your Aramenta trials.
My other thing, we had one of the funniest moments of season 3 with Pike leaving to go find Kaylee while Grog is holding Scanlan. And she goes, "Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back." And then I mean, you would imagine it's been hours that she's been
At
gone
least,
with
yeah.
Allura. Yeah. And they come back and he took her literally and he's still in the exact same position. And the funniest part, rewatching it, when they get back to Whitestone, all you hear from, I mean, they're in like the courtyard of the castle, thousands of feet away from where Grog is, but all you can hear is like that whimpering. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Oh no." And she knows exactly what happened. And yeah, just one of the funniest parts of this third season by far.
Yeah, this is something we were talking about before we started recording, which is that this is kind of all that Pike and Grog and Scanlan are doing for these final 3 episodes. There's really not a ton here. Obviously, Scanlan is, comatose or whatever for a lot of this, but Grog is solely the comic relief, and Pike is kind of just the facilitator of the comic relief.
Mhm.
So what I mean, I think in the moment it kind of doesn't resonate because the other stuff that the party is doing is interesting. But when you take a step back or after the episode's over and you're reflecting on it, they're not really acting like a party, right? And that's one of the themes over the course of these 3 episodes, I think.
And it also damages the situation a little bit too when you have in the campaign itself. I love how they handle Scanlan
Mm-hmm.
with the much more nuanced drug addiction,
Mm-hmm.
feeling of being discarded by the rest of the friends and party, and Scanlan actually dying
Mm-hmm.
versus being in a coma. So I feel like if they would have gone that route, it this subplot of Scanlan being unconscious would have been a little bit more impactful. Because I mean, when you watch it, you never really have a doubt that he's going to wake up when Kaylee gets there. So the stakes weren't really that high with those 3 or 4 characters. While you have Vex and Vax trying to find Ripley, and you have Keyleth trying to find Rayshon.
Like risking her life in this ritual, and then of course Percy being dead and buried.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I, I think this is one of those things where if Scanlan had also died, it would have just been too much, right? And I think they just decided that, like, okay,
for sure.
the drama of Percy dying is enough that needs to be the focus for this final bit of the season. But yeah, it does kind of undercut Scanlan's
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Which
dramatic turn.
was one of my favorite, and we've talked about this in previous episodes that we've recorded, is one of my favorite parts of campaign 1.
Mm-hmm.
When out of the blue, like everybody's so excited that Scanlan comes back to life, and he just responds with like, "Fuck all of you." Like,
Well, because weren't they kind of messing with him when he was like lying there dead or asleep, like putting like whipped cream on him and like
yeah,
messing with him, and he's like gets up and he's like, you got think I'm a joke, and like I remember there was one, he's like, what's my mother's name?
yeah.
And he's like, she was killed by a goblin when it was like formative moment in my life. What's my mother's name? And
And then nobody knows, and he
nobody
goes,
knows.
"You never asked."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like all of this, like you never cared about me. And then but after that, when Sam's Regal is monologuing that, he basically says, he's like, "Vex, you have Percy. Vax, you have Keyleth. Grog basically has Pike because she's denied me so many times." He's like, "I have
Hmm.
nobody." And I always feel like a sixth wheel, seventh wheel, whatever it is. But yeah, so beautifully done. And then I was just kind of disappointed with how they handled it in the TV show. But again, I understand completely why they did what they did. You
Hmm.
have to do it. And that's also why it feels like the whole Ripley subplot gets wrapped up really quickly. It's why Raishan gets wrapped up really quickly. But the last thing on episode 10 before we
On the wait,
move,
it gets wrapped up really quickly in the live play.
no, in the show, in episodes
Oh,
10, 11, and 12.
okay.
At least that's how it feels for me. Ripley in particular. But before we get to Ripley, how they end that, there's the conversation between this. I've got Skyrim on the mind and Oblivion, like a Khajiit
Oh yeah, I was because it's not they call it like animal human hybrid in this. This is we just read the
in the
Wikipedia summary,
description.
but that's
Yeah.
there's like it's a whole species.
Tabaxi.
Tabaxi. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's like a Tabaxi character and identifies Vax as Clasp. And then it just made me realize that I wish we had more. And this is not just in the show, it's not just in the live play, it's in all of the campaigns of the live play. I wish we had more on the Clasp
Mm,
in general, just like the Thieves Guild of Matt Mercer's world.
hmm.
It feels kind of flushed out in campaign 1 and Legend of Vox Machina, but I feel like there's so much more story to be told there, and it's not covered in Mighty Nine or Bell's Hells really.
Well,
It's only like a Vox Machina plot.
and I think there was more clasp related stuff in the show pre-stream, or excuse me, in the live play pre-stream. Like
Mhm.
the home game, I think they dealt with a little bit more because that was more of the backstory to Vax. But then, if I recall correctly, there's like a different thieves guild that operates on Wildmount, right? Because the gentleman was a part of it, and it wasn't the clasp; it was like the myriad or something. Is that right?
Yeah, that seemed more of like a black market piratey coastal thing. And I mean it could be the case. Like they deal with other factions of thieves, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember watching that scene last week and being like, "Oh, yeah, Clasp." Like they bring it up now, but I just wish we had more dealings with this underground
Did we
group.
deal with was the clasp involved at all in the like escape from Amon? Because remember that was a part of it. Was there were several episodes where the clasp was like they were working with, but it was kind of an uneasy
I think they were heavily
alliance.
involved,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least in the live play.
yeah. Because they had like I think it was there was a guest character or a guest player who was a clasp member.
Was it Patrick Rothfuss?
No, he was the paladin who helped them.
Oh, yeah, who helped Keyleth a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it was I think he was even a musician. I think he wrote one of the first theme songs.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top
I
of my head.
can't recall his name.
You're right that Clasp was super involved with getting them into Thordak's lair
Yeah.
for sure.
There's okay, a couple other things. Well, oh no, just one other thing. We already talked about the tabaxi and that and not it's not just a human animal hybrid. And then I like the fact that this was in Stilben, which was, if I recall, not a location that was ever a setting for the live play, but it was the setting for the very first Legends of Vox Machina comic book written by Matt Colville, who's another Dungeons and Dragons luminary, runs a great YouTube channel largely about being a dungeon master. So I thought that was kind of a fun little hat tip to a place where, and this was really central in Keyleth, or excuse me, in Vex and Vax's and Keyleth's initial forming like a friendship. And
Mhm.
some of the earliest adventures of Vox Machina were in Stillben, according to this comic book. So that was fun.
I mean, it
All right.
really is. It was cool to see, especially with the lore, like you're saying, and the history of the campaign itself. But when you bring up the comic books, that's one of my favorite things about how big Critical Role has gotten, is that
Hmm.
you get so much more lore and storytelling from all the different novels, mini series that they're putting out, like Exandria Unlimited with the
Hmm.
campaign 3. I actually just finished campaign 3, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I watched episode 121 part 2 the other day. It was sad to have it come to an end, but excited for campaign 4.
I have to. I think you know this. I'm very far behind. I will probably
Have,
not catch
have
up.
you have you even finished Mighty Nine?
Oh yeah, no, I finished Mighty Nine.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, I've seen all of campaign one, all of campaign two, the first 20 episodes of campaign three, but then just things got too crazy. I think, I
Yeah.
had the kid and bought the house and all sorts of stuff. So that's just, it's tough. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about episode 11 in season three here. This is titled Deadly Echoes. Keyleth continues to struggle with maintaining the connection during the ritual while attempting to locate Raishan. Patisse realizes that something is holding her back and tells Keyleth not to resist the pull of the world by giving into it. Hearing her words, Keyleth gives in, and upon realizing that her love for Vax makes her stronger, Keyleth manages to complete the ritual and successfully locates Raishan. Meanwhile, Pike brings Kaylee to the castle and encourages her to talk to her father. Kaylee admits that she still misses him just as Scanlan regains consciousness, and they reconcile. Keyleth contacts the rest of Vox Machina and tells them to meet her in Zephyra. Although Scanlan doesn't want to leave Kaylee again, she encourages him to go save the world with his friends. Meanwhile, Ripley begins taunting the twins about Percy's death, only for them to escape from their restraints and attack her and her crew. After a long ensuing fight between the twins and Ripley, Vex finally kills her, avenging Percy's death. Vax then takes her gun. While resting on a nearby island, Vax reveals to Vex that he heard Percy's voice from within Ripley's gun, saying that his soul is probably trapped inside of it by Orthax, but she refuses to believe it before being contacted by Keyleth. After Vox Machina regroups in Zephyra, Keyleth confesses her feelings for Vax before revealing Raishan's location to the team. Keyleth leads Vox Machina to an ancient ziggurat where they discover her performing a ritual with Thordak's corpse. Raishan seemingly kills everyone but Keyleth before attempting to complete the ritual due to the latter's people infecting her with the disease that kept her weak for a long time. Keyleth seemingly kills Raishan, but all of a sudden the former discovers that the latter has transferred her soul into Thordak's corpse. Grammatically, that summary is kind of all over the
Was
place.
rough.
Yeah, but here we are.
Can I start with the
Yeah.
Ripley thing?
You sure?
We were talking before we were recording that it's so rushed, and the entire time I was watching it, I was like, it feels weird to me that Percy's arc is being taken over or ended by only two characters of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And Vex even says it as soon as it's over and they're on the beach. She's kind of like, I wish the rest of the party would have been here for this. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. I really
Mm-hmm.
wish that too. It seems very anticlimactic that it's just the two of you. And it doesn't make sense. Like when they went to the island initially, it was a huge battle.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it was just Percy alone, he got his ass kicked for the most
Mm-hmm.
part until he was able to outthink what was going on. But there was like 20 pirates on this ship and
With
only
guns.
with guns and only two party members. And it just felt, we're going to talk about this in the next episode as well, but it just felt like if this was really D&D, which I know it's not, and it's just a adaptation of D&D, would this really happen like this? And the answer to me was no.
Yeah.
And I just didn't love how Ripley ended. And there was so much more justice in the live play that I wish we would have had that in the campaign a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely went with the what felt the most dramatic, right? Which was just the twins against all these pirates and Ripley. She's got a vestige, which seems like perfectly designed to counter the twins because she can move around really quickly and, get out of the way of the dagger, get out of the way of the arrow and everything else. But then when you take a step back, it's like, no, this is a team effort. And again, what's going on with where's Grog when this is happening? He's, holding Scanlan above his bed. You know, Pike and Scanlan are there too. Scanlan again, not dead in the live play. The entire team was there. They all went to Glint Shore, which is the island, together to fight Ripley, and it was pretty epic. And ended similarly with Ripley dying. But yeah, that being said, I thought the action was fun in this
Mm-hmm.
fight. I will say that you let a vestige fall to the bottom of the ocean, This in particular vestige is pretty cool. Cabal's Ruin came in really handy in some of their major fights later in the live play. So I wonder if that's going to be rectified somehow. That's the other stuff in this episode. I like that it's a ziggurat that Raishan went to. Kind of sets up some of the final scenes in
Also, kind of
the,
feels like Wildmount to you, right? It was like jungly. It didn't look like
yeah, and I think
Caldori.
yeah, no, I think and that's I think fitting because I think I'm trying to recall I don't recall the name of the island from the live play, and I don't think they named it here, but it was a jungle island, like volcanic jungle island, and that was because it wasn't a ziggurat; it was like in the like the lava tubes under this volcano. I think it was originally Thordak had like a lair down here, and Raishan the what Raishan was trying to do was get into this lair and then use the magic and whatever else there to animate his corpse, and then have it teach her how to become a Draco Lich. So we had a slight variation on that, but I did like the ziggurat connection. What else you got here?
Honestly, not a whole lot with this episode. I mean, because my biggest beef was with the Ripley fight. And again, like you were saying, action was great. These three episodes, I think, as just television, high fantasy television, are good, if not great. I had the thought that in the live play, Raishan is killed in a final battle where Scanlan also dies.
Mm-hmm.
I like that there's enough differences from the live play to the television show that we can kind of see maybe what Matt Mercer maybe was thinking and where he wanted to go with things. So if the players altered something enough to get rid of his eventual plans or end goals for plots, it's fun to be able to see like an alternative world where Raishan isn't just killed in a battle, where she's able to do something like inhabit the body of Thordak. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I thought Keyleth being able to go into the earth and speak to all these people and find people was a little OP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was kind of like, is she gonna find her mother?
Like,
Because
yeah, like
technically
why
speaking, like her
you
mom
could,
like, in the legend or the canon established by the live play, her mom is alive on this planet, just I think amnesic, right? Basically,
yeah.
because she's in the that island with the avocado monster, whatever it was called.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It-
so this episode made it seem like all she has to do is think about a character, any kind of character in the world, and she can find them. Like it seems, unless she has to be in like Zephyra to do it, would be the only hindrance to this ritual or whatever it is. Or if there's a risk that she could die every time she does it. But she very easily just like popped up all across the world to talk to all of her friends. Again, it's another like, does it make sense for a TV show? Yes. Does it make sense for D&D? Not really.
yeah, it's a little OP, and I think this speaks a little bit to something we talked about pre-recording, which is like, I guess flash forward to the next episode, Keyleth becomes mega powerful, right?
Mhm.
Like she can now track anybody down across the planet, and she's able to almost single-handedly, like she single-handedly kills Raishan, even though Raishan seemingly like wanted to die so that her soul could be transferred. But then she fights the reanimated corpse of Thordak, and again, spoiler, single-handedly destroys him.
Well, let's just get straight into that.
Sure. Yeah. So let's go ahead and
Yeah.
do the next episode because these it does end with a cliffhanger. Okay, so this is Souls in Darkness. Having transferred her soul into Thordak's corpse, a battle ensues between Keyleth and Raishan, who attempts to kill her. Grammar. Vox Machina, having survived the attack from Raishan, also join in to assist her. After a long, grueling battle, Raishan seemingly kills Keyleth, but in a shocking turn of events, Keyleth, having survived, ultimately kills her by transferring the disease from her old body straight into Thordak's corpse using her new Earth Ashari abilities. While Keyleth begins her recovery, Vax reaches out to the matron and asks her for a way to free Percy's soul. The matron warns him that doing so would bring a huge risk to his life before sending him back to the mortal world. The next morning, Vax tells everyone that he wants to bring Percy back to life by transferring his soul back into his own body. The next day, the same way that Ryshan transferred her soul into Thordak's corpse, having sensed that his soul is being held prisoner by Orthax from within Ripley's gun. He is willing to take the risk of bringing Percy back without the matron's help. The revival ritual begins as Vax calls for Orthax, who brings him into his realm. Vax ventures through his realm in search of Percy, all while trying to resist Orthax's influence. He finds Percy, but due to being under Orthax's influence, he doesn't recognize him. So many pronouns. However, Vex confesses her feelings to Percy, who manages to regain all of his memories, and as a result, Vax successfully frees Percy from Orthax's domain, and the ritual vanquishes him for good. Percy is soon revived, much to everyone's happiness, and both Aemon and Whitestone have begun the rebuilding process. In the end, Vox Machina go their separate ways for now. Vex and Percy return to Whitestone and continue their relationship. Keyleth and Vax head off on a journey of their own, with the latter's hand showing signs of decay. And Scanlan and Kaylee decide to travel the world together because the former wants to make up for lost time with the latter, while Grog and Pike stay behind to say their goodbyes to them. Elsewhere, a group of cultists conduct a ritual which summons a powerful evil being known as the Whispered One. Just real quick on that final sentence there, they don't say the Whispered One, do they?
No.
And
no, that's a reveal by this recapper.
Yeah. And they don't summon a being, they just summon the sphere.
They summon the sphere, but the very last scene is like a cut to the face of the Whispered One.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was in the show or like as part of the credits, but okay.
Yeah, it was right before the credits started.
Yeah, so we'll get
so this episode, like you were saying, and again, it's not very D&D like to have one party member fight the BBEG at the end of the arc and have them kill the Dragolich or Dracolich by herself.
Yeah, and this makes it seem like, oh, and then Vox Machina like busts out of their little magical prison and helps the fight. I don't really remember them helping, like doing that much at all. Like it seems like all of their attacks were kind of
restraining. Like one of the characters, Ryshan Thordak, is about to like attack Keyleth, and then they prevent the arm from hitting her. So like there are things that they do, but even then it's like it's almost like an immediate kill where they've set it up in the lore of this show that it's the Ashari are the ones that have put this disease curse on Ryshan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Keyleth and Ashari, the potential leader of the Ashari, who's the one that basically sucks the curse out of Ryshan's dead body and pumps it into the zombie Thordak body. But again, it's like,
if I'm going to get rule lawyery, I believe undead are immune to poison. And Ryshan had been infected with that poison for decades, right? And it hadn't killed her. It was slowly like weakening her and killing her, but all of a sudden it killed her in a reanimated form. I don't know. I think it would have been cooler if like it had been less about the poison and more about like Keyleth's new earth elemental powers. But again, combined with the power, like this would have been a great opportunity for Pike to like reconnect with her deity and use divine power to fight this undead creature, right? Like I don't know. Pike was useless during this fight,
right?
Yeah, like her armor,
channel divinity.
Yeah, so do something, right?
Turn undead.
I think Grog was useful in breaking out of that prison, but I don't think he did a ton against Ryshan. Like there could have been, I don't know, they were much more creative when they were killing Brimscythe, right? They were all working together. Like that was really great teamwork to bring down a dragon. The Vorogel fight, same thing. Thordak, all the other dragons, it was much more of a team effort, and everybody like positively contributed instead of kind of just allowing one member to go OP on it.
Yeah. I mean, and then the rest of the episode, I didn't mind it at all. I mean, you have Vax alone going into the realm of Orthax, which kind of makes sense because he's the quote unquote champion of the Raven Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going in to save a soul. I don't quite understand like the punishment for Vax for doing this. Like it's going against the order of things. But then I'm like, a demon taking a soul seems to also be going against the order of things.
Yeah, I see that contradiction. I think it's not helped by the fact that you've got okay, so Vax has basically bargained, traded his life in the future for Percy's life right now,
Hmm.
but that I still don't necessarily know why the Raven Queen, or excuse me, I almost said the trademark name, the Raven Queen, the matron of ravens, or whatever it is, would make that deal, right? Because there is in the live play, Vax does make a deal for more time, but it's not to bring anybody else back. It's to continue the fight against like the
Vecna.
Whispered One, Vecna, who is the god of undeath, basically, and secrets, and is anathema to the Raven Queen. So it made sense that the Raven Queen would do something kind of outside the norms of how death works. So I get that they're trying to make it clear that the Raven or the matron of ravens is not necessarily she's not a good deity, but she's not evil. And like they're
She's
trying
neutral. She's like
she
lawful
yeah,
neutral.
and that is true. That's true for her, but then it's like, but so why is she cursing somebody with like a death, like a what is it? What is it? Showing signs of decay. So is he already undead? Like I guess it's kind of unclear, right?
I
Because
think, yeah, when he looks in the puddle, I think it's a view into his future, more or
right. So like,
less.
is he dying? Like he has like an expiration date that he's working toward, or is he already a revenant basically? Because that's what he becomes in the live play.
Yeah, I think dying, and then he becomes a revenant,
Yeah.
like a, yeah. But I don't know, the last couple things I think for me are just, it's a very wholesome end.
Mm-hmm.
Big party in,
The Magnificent Mansion,
yeah, what does he call it?
Chateau
Chateau Short Halt.
Shorthalt. Yeah.
So that's fun to see everybody come back together. Percy's back. It kind of makes sense for the show to have this moment of everybody kind of going their own way, especially when Scanlan kind of kicks that off, where
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I need to go do some stuff. So yeah, it makes sense that everybody's going to go off. And now I wonder how much time passes between season 3 and season 4.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be quick, if Keyleth is going to be done with her Aramente.
Are we gonna get Tyrion Darrington?
I think we have to,
I don't know. I don't know because
because there's so much time where like Scanlan's basically gone for the entire third arc of campaign 1.
yeah, no. I mean, it's they. I don't know if it's a year that they take, but right, this is when the like somebody opens a bakery in Whitestone,
Yeah,
right? And technically speaking,
the Slayer's cake.
yeah, Slayer's Cake, and then Vex and Vax, or excuse me, Vax and Keyleth go to live with the Airshari, and he like takes a level of Druid,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, but I don't know because again, this episode ended with a preview of the next big villain. So is that gonna be put on hold and we have kind of like the adventures of Tyrion Darrington, which was very much like a diversion, right? Because what do they do with him? They go to the Hells. They fight like in a mine. I can't remember all of the adventures they have, but none of it,
Yeah,
it's not like
because
big world threatening things. It's because he's kind of like a goofy character.
isn't this where Vax gets attacked by the demon, the shape shifting demon that takes the form of
Oh yeah, the
Gilmore?
the tiger demon, right? What's it
Yeah,
called? The Rakshasa.
the Rakshasa. And then they defeat it, but then they realize, oh, we have to go to the Hells to kill it in its
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, it shows up in Whitestone.
larval form.
It
Yeah,
shows up in Whitestone, almost kills
Vax,
Vax, and then yeah, they kill it, and then they go down to the Hells.
to really kill it. Otherwise, it's going to come back. So, I mean, those are questions that I have about season 4. I'm super excited. And I'm just so happy because it's the 10-year anniversary of Critical Role this last week.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, they started
That's
their
crazy.
live play. And then to see how far they've come is just very, very cool. And all of the just amazing lore and books and role playing and board games and comic books that we get out of this is amazing.
That's true. Okay, so real quick, Tyrion Darrington. So he just shows up in Whitestone. right? Trying to be an adventurer. Is that what it was? No, it was an
Yeah.
Ankarel.
Wasn't it like the same episode that Scanlan left, or like the next episode?
It was.
It
I'm pretty
was a
sure
it was a
because
very quick.
I don't think Sam was gone from the show for an episode at all.
Yeah,
You know,
because
more
I
than
remember
one.
everybody being like, honestly, like taken aback by Scanlan's response,
Uh
and
huh.
then everyone was so negative towards
Oh yeah, I
Tyrion,
remember.
because Sam walks back and he's like, "Hello, I am Tyrion Darrington," and they're like, "Fuck you,
Yeah,
Tyrion!" Like
like I really don't like this guy.
our best friend just left.
Yeah. Okay, so they finish Keyless Armente where they go to Vesra and they fight the Kraken.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was a cool episode.
Hmm.
Trip to the Nine Hells to fight the Rakshasa. And then they go over to let's see. Oh, then there was a 1 year time skip. That's what it was. Oh yeah, because it's Terry and Vex that open Slayer's cake. Oh yeah, the Trickfoot show up, and then they have to. Oh, then he's abducted, and they have to go to Wildmount to get him back, and then that's where they go to the mine. Oh, and this is when they meet the Myriad.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the crime syndicate. Yeah, yeah, okay. Blah blah. Yep, and then he goes back to Wildmount.
Any
Okay.
last things?
Nope. Let's see. Oh, cool. For our podcast listener, Sean has a Sting replica. That looks like an official Weta Workshop blade.
I wish it was. I mean, it's very pointy.
Where did
It's
you
not
get that?
Ren Fair.
I was going to say Ren Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Every year I allow myself to get one fancier Ren Fair purchase, and this was last year's Sting replica. It's a very good home defense because you could legit kill somebody with this if you.
Is it sharp? It's
The
pointy.
tip is like you could definitely kill somebody with this, but
Well, I note to self: don't intrude into your home at night.
I sleep with it next to my bed.
Yeah, there we go.
This
All
was
right.
Critical Role, Critical Role, Vox Machina, Legend of Vox Machina, Season 3, last 3 episodes of the season. We hope you liked it as much as we did. Next week, we will hopefully be releasing episode 1 of Season 2 of Andor. Very excited about that.
All right, everybody. We will see you then. In the meantime, be good and be well. Trying a different sign off. Don't look at me like that. Bye, everybody.
Be good and be well.